Now, joining me on the phone live is RP Data's Cameron Cusher. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, Mandy. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Cameron, it's been a month since we last spoke, and goodness how the time flies and how the market changes within that time. What are the main points that have come out of the last industry market wrap-up that we should be taking note of right now?
Well, what we've found is that the market was fairly flat on a national basis over the last month. So during April, property values across the combined capital cities fell by 0.3%, and then over the quarter they're down 1.2%, and on the year they're down 1.5%. So clearly the market is not seeing much growth at the moment, is in fact falling in some areas. Adelaide wasn't particularly strong, so looking at the seasonally adjusted numbers, Adelaide property values fell by 1.2% for the month. They were down by 2.3% for the quarter and down 2.1% on the year. So Adelaide's starting to follow similar trends to what's happened in Brisbane and Perth. Certainly not as severe as the falls in that market, but we are seeing a bit of a softening in prices across Adelaide. Sure,
and there seems to be a lot of property on the market in Adelaide for this time of the year. With your research, is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, we've got some data here actually across all of South Australia, and obviously most people live in Adelaide. But we have a look at the end of the week ending 29th of the 5th, 2011. Across South Australia, there was 6,486 total listings over the 4 weeks to the 29th of the 5th, 2011. And at the same time last year, we were looking at only 4,459 listings. So clearly there is a lot of stock on the market, and I guess this is what's holding back any growth in the market. There's a lot of people looking to sell. There's not a lot of active buyers. We're seeing that sales volumes are well down, so there is a bit of a disconnect out there in the market. There's quite a few people bringing their property to sell, but there's not so many people looking to buy. So until the stock levels sort themselves out, we'll probably continue to see fairly soft conditions across the market.
So we're seeing that with auctions as well, although we firmly believe that auctions are still the way to go. What's your take on auctions at the present moment?
The auction market, again, pretty much like the private treaty sale market, isn't doing particularly well at the moment. We're typically seeing across the combined capital cities clearance rates sitting at about 50 to 55%, and slightly below that in Adelaide. Certainly the volumes of properties being taken to auction in Adelaide is not as substantial as it is in Sydney and Melbourne, so they're most heavily influencing the market. But again, things are still selling. It's just a case of getting the price right and being able to attract those buyers to the property.
Cameron, when do you see this type of marketplace turning? Like, this is quite an unusual marketplace we're seeing ourselves sitting in at the present moment. Where do you see that turning, or where do you see it start moving up again?
Well, it really comes back to confidence in the market, and I think what we're seeing at the moment is, although we dodged a bullet earlier this week with interest rates not going up, I think most people expect that interest rates will increase. Obviously, in some areas, affordability has been stretched over recent years with the strong run-up in prices. Not so bad in South Australia and Adelaide, because property tends to be a little bit cheaper in Adelaide. But I think it's going to take a year, maybe a little bit longer, to see turnaround. I mean, people are very focused on the moment and paying down debt. Consumers aren't really sure about what's happening in the economy, if things are as rosy as they seem. We've got the lingering prospects of higher interest rates. I think until there's more certainty about the economic position of Australia outside of the mining sector, and people aren't so spooked about the overall prospects of the market and start spending again, that's when we'll see a turnaround. I don't know that's going to happen this year. I think we're probably looking at next year at the earliest.
Well, thanks so much, Cameron, for your input. I mean, we look forward to talking to you again in a month's time. We just don't know where it's going to end up, but certainly it keeps changing, which keeps us on our toes. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mandy.
Now let's go to SA's finest.